Hey guys, welcome back to VSG Tea
with Sammi and Bre.
Cheers. It's delish.
It's so good.
We're serving it hot today, you guys. We're talking about an awesome subject that we think is going to be really helpful for a lot of our post-oppers and pre-oppers to just get educated on. So, what are we talking about today?
So we're going to talk about why I lost 200 pounds so fast in 13 months. Because that is a question I get quite often. And I really don't know how to answer it because I don't have like the hidden secret, which is like what people think.
Mm-hmm.
So remember how I was telling you that when I first came home from the hospital and for the first couple weeks, I was a horrible patient, could barely get any liquid down, right? Mm-hmm. So that led into, I had my surgery in September. The whole October I had bladder infections like crazy because I wasn't drinking enough water.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that led into my first kidney stone, which passed in about a couple hours. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally had a kidney stone, and went to the doctor the next day and she was like, no, there's no way that you had that. And I was like, no, but I pretty know what, like, I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple days later after that, again, I'm still getting hardly any liquid down, hardly any protein. I ended up with a second kidney stone that woke me out of a sound sleep, and it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. The worst pain. I've had a child, I've had a C-section, the worst pain. So woke me up, I went through it for about 2 hours, and I finally was like, I have to go to the hospital. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Right before I left for the hospital, I threw up for my first time since having surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know that it was possible to throw up, so I was like, oh my gosh, like, is my stomach gonna be okay? Like, is everything gonna still work the way it should? But the pain was so unbearable that it caused me to vomit. So, ended up going to the hospital. They gave me an IV, some pain meds, and they're like, just drink water, it'll pass through. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing, is like, I can't keep anything down at this point. So, fast forward 9 days, I still had the kidney stone. Went back to the hospital. They took another CAT scan. They were like, yeah, it's almost right there. You know, just keep drinking water. Again, I can't. So that lasted. I was not eating or drinking anything for that 9 days. So that really ties into.
And that was a month post-op at that point.
Yeah, a month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah. So because I wasn't drinking, eating anything, my body now started to develop a vitamin deficiency without my knowledge.
Great.
Yeah. So
sounds fun.
It was a blast. So yes, I kept vomiting multiple times a day. And when I say multiple, I mean like 20, 30. It would just be constant, like,
wow.
Just go to the bathroom. And it wasn't like I was vomiting anything, major. It's not like the typical. It was just, the pain was so bad. So then it just kept going and going. Anyways, kidney stone obviously passed after about day 10, but I still kept throwing up. No one could understand. My surgeon was retiring at the moment, so I could barely get a hold of him. Like, I talked to him one time the whole time after surgery, and he was like, yeah, throwing up's normal. And I was like, okay, but is throwing up 20 to 30 times normal? Because there's no way. He was like, no, it's normal. So I friggin' lost it. Normal.
Got
it.
it.
Yeah. So then it just kept going, and I'm probably mixing up some things because it was all a blur. But I threw up for about 35 days straight. And in the middle of that, 2 weeks in, I started going numb from the waist down. And it was like, I couldn't feel my legs. I was walking like a baby deer or like an 85-year-old woman. Like, it was bad. I was asking my mom constantly for a wheelchair because I was like, my legs will not work. Like, I wish I could go back and look at like videos of like the home camera to see how I was walking. Yeah, it was intense.
Wow.
So I kept going back to the doctors like, I'm tingling. And they were like, that's weird. Yeah, I don't, it's probably a vitamin like thing. So they tested everything but what I had. Did a blood work, went back in for an ultrasound to see if like my stomach was okay. I mean, they checked pretty much everything but like that vitamin level.
Mm-hmm.
Which
interesting. It's like the first thing that I would think they would check.
You would think.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't though. So here's the major issue is I had my surgery done in Kaiser LA and I went to Kaiser Anaheim for my issues.
Okay.
They don't coordinate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't communicate. Like it's just like you put in notes and like that's pretty much it. They didn't like call the surgeon like, hey, so your patient is da 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 da. So that was a big problem for me is that they didn't communicate with each other because if my PA would have talked to the people that were in the hospital, they would have known right away. So I got admitted to the hospital, 5 days in there, still couldn't figure out anything was wrong. Then the tingling started creeping up my arms and my chin, and I was like, great, I'm gonna be a vegetable. Like that's just what's gonna happen. Like it's gonna all go downhill from here.
Like were you like taking vitamins afterwards? Were you like walking afterwards? Like were they telling you this is what you need to do? Were you following your guidelines?
I mean, no, because I couldn't get my vitamins down. I couldn't even get water down. So I couldn't take vitamins, but I wasn't walking. I wasn't doing it. Let's be real, I couldn't walk. I was so sick from, I would say, the middle of October until at least January, like the beginning of January is when I finally was like, all right, I feel better. And that's only because my last day of the hospital, last day of the hospital, talked to the PA and I was like, I'm tingly. Like, I cannot feel, I can barely even walk. I can barely even move my legs from the hospital bed to the ground.
Right.
And he goes, I'm going to send one more blood test for you. Well, he went back, did the blood test, checked the thiamine, and I was severely low. So he was like,
and what's
you
thiamine?
need to come in. B1.
Okay.
So
B1.
So he's like, you need to come in tomorrow and we need to make an appointment. So I went to the doctor the next day, sat with him, and he's like, so do you want to know what you have? And I was like, oh, I have something.
Yeah.
Great. And
he's
he's
like,
like,
tell me.
It's a cute little disease called Beriberi. And I was like, okay, what is that? And he was like, it's a thiamine, you're B1, you're deficient. So if you look up Beriberi, can cause permanent blindness, permanent memory loss, heart issues, and permanent neuropathy.
Great. Wow.
So that is why I lost my weight so fast, is because I lost 67 pounds in just 1 month.
Wow.
I was not eating or drinking anything and I was vomiting constantly. So I don't have the end all be all secret. I don't have that. I can recommend that you stick to your post-op diet, your liquids, you drink your protein, you stay, low carb, calorie deficient, but I don't have the end all be all. And I think that that's a misconception because I say, oh, I've lost 200 pounds in 13 months and everyone's like, ha!
Right. It's the first question. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where I was at. Now I am back to normal, as normal as I can be.
How long did it take you to get back there to normal? You said January?
A while. No, January is when I started kind of feeling somewhat okay, and I could like kind of walk, get back together. But to start getting feeling back, I would say about 5 weeks. I got shots in my booty 2 times a week of like severely high B1 vitamin. There's probably a name for it, but I don't know.
Do you think that if your doctors would have given you like the right preparation that you would have been able to avoid this?
Yeah.
You guys, it's a real thing. Do not let this happen to you. That's scary. Yeah, that's so scary.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know about this. I actually just got tagged in a Facebook post in one of our groups.
Oh, okay.
Some girl said, has anyone ever had beriberi or a thiamine deficiency? And I was like,
oh my gosh.
What? And some girl, she follows me on here. I have to shout her out. And she tagged me and was like, Sam does, like, she posted about it. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it's a thing. And there's one story that really stuck with me. And this, like, scares me. But there was a girl who got beriberi before me. She was, like, our age. And she went to UCLA was an accountant, got Beriberi, lost all of her memory from the accounting school, all of that.
Oh my gosh.
And now is a cashier at like Home Depot because she cannot remember anything from going to school.
Wow.
Yeah, it just like wiped it out. And my memory was like washy. Like someone would tell me something and then like the day after I'd be like, wait, what? You never said that. So like it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't the worst.
I met you a few months later, like in March, and like we just hit it off like right away. It was so natural. And you were like, I really have gone through it. And like before I even like knew her, she was like, I really had a hard time.
Yeah. And
she was just coming off of that. So it's very serious.
I was very fresh.
You are very fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh to death. Tea.
And that's also what led into my hair loss is because of my vitamin deficiency. It just like.
Yeah, on top of everything else. It's like.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Full on was.
Bye.
Yeah. It was bad. It was scary. I do have a video on my page that really in-depth explains everything. I actually have 2 videos on it because I really, really want to push for this. This is not a known thing.
Right.
It is not. It's not talked about in the classes. It's
not
talked
about
in the doctors. No. It's actually it's like a third world country disease. Like people in like Africa or homeless people get it here because they don't eat. For I think you lose your vitamin B1, the thiamine, in 10 days. So if you don't eat or drink anything in 10 days, you're going to start having that kind of reaction. Well, then you keep going.
Starvation.
Yeah. And then that whole vitamin deficiency causes you to vomit. So you keep going. It's a process. So it's not taught. And I really wish that it was. And I would love to just like shout it out to the world because there's many people that are experiencing numbness.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I know.
It makes me sad.
But I'm here.
Yeah, she's here and she's a success case after all, you guys.
Yeah.
You know, you're a huge inspiration to this community, and I know people are asking you questions all day long, but it's like you gotta look at what you can avoid. You have to follow something, and if you're not given those tools, you have to make them for yourself.
Right.
That's what I feel like I'm doing. I do have an amazing doctor who I feel like I can just literally call him or text him even. But I mean, I have been doing this research myself just to benefit after the op. So
yeah,
after the op.
After the op.
The operation.
We
should play Operation. A VSG Operation.
Stop, we should come up with a game for it.
I
like
know.
Our little tummy.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, it's cute! Who wants
Brandon.
to play with us?
Nobody could take that from us.
Yes. That is ours.
Team.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, so looking back on all of that, I mean, what are things obviously that you could have done differently?
I could have explored more protein drinks. I could have forced myself to drink water.
Got it.
I could have forced myself to down a protein drink. I'm telling you, Brie, I was horrible. I was horrible. I wish my mom was sitting right here. She'd be like, she was the worst. Like, she hated me.
I love it.
She hated me. Well,
Shout out
she
to
didn't hate
Wendy.
me. But she was like, just drink the, and I was like, I can't, I'm like, and then if I would have known that it would have led to all of that, oh my gosh, I would have done so many things different. Like I said, I would have definitely focused heavy on the protein and the liquids. That's something I know that you're doing, but
yeah, so drink your liquids, drink your protein.
Yeah.
No excuses. You don't want beriberi.
No, you don't.
No,
you don't. But yeah, I mean, I'm so like moving forward, I'm all good. I have feeling back in my legs. I obviously can walk. I am not numb anymore. There's certain spots on my legs where I am still numb, which is kind of weird.
Oh my gosh.
But for the most part, no, it all came back. I went to neurologists and all of that good stuff for months afterwards. But it took a good
lot of follow-up
time. Oh yeah, it took a good, I would say, a solid year for me to fully feel back to normal.
Oh my gosh, going through it.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we are so happy that you're okay.
I'm happy I'm okay.
It's important.
I'm happy to be sharing this. Yeah.
We're happy that you're sharing it too. Awesome. Well, if you guys have any questions, we're going to leave a link actually in this caption for more information about Beriberi.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.